guys, it's Jen here at Check Her Joy, and this time I'm reviewing Gamelife by Michael W Clune. This is a memoir, so this is his actual life experiences with video games from the time he started playing with them in the 80s through about his college time. It's not exactly linear, it's kind of grouped by type of games. But yeah, mostly it's about video games. We get to see some of his family life and his friends and schooling and how his obsession with video games influenced his relationships also. Most of this takes place when he's a younger kid, from the time he's about 7 to about 12. The first half of this book I found really interesting when he's first starting to get into video games and explaining the older video games and how they worked and things that I just vaguely remember because he's a few years older than me. So I kind of remember having some of those same experiences playing older games where you just type everything in and it's all Word documents sending it back to you and not really a ton of graphics. And then when we do start seeing graphics and the two-dimensional graphics. So it was cool from that perspective to go back and see what these old games were like and to remember them. Halfway through this book, he starts getting super obsessed with video games to the point that nothing else in his life matters, and that part got super annoying, and he's really kind of a brat in the second half of this book. And it's made worse by the fact that I know this is a memoir, so this is an actual thing that happened to an actual person, and that's probably more frustrating than if this had happened to a fictional character. But some of the ways that he treats other people, because he doesn't develop empathy a whole lot. He is only worried about his world of video games, and he starts trying to relate video games to the real world, and that second half of the book is wasn't very pleasant. Honestly, I didn't finish this book. I got halfway through the last chapter and decided, screw it, I don't care anymore. There is also a lot of swearing in this book, so I would not recommend giving this to a small child who likes video games, because of the language thing and because of his behavior later in the book. Not a good example if you're trying to relate to a small child. But if you are an adult who loves video games, this would be an interesting book, especially if you're really obsessed with video games. I don't quite have that level of obsession that he does, so I didn't quite relate to that. The second half where he really got into them and to the point, like he's talking about how he played Call of Duty in college to the exclusion of everything else. Like his girlfriend left him because he was so obsessed with Call of Duty, and I was just like, yeah, if I were your girlfriend, I would have left you. Goodbye. So, yeah. Like I said, I really enjoyed the first half of this book, just not the second half as his life progresses. And he does really walk you through the development of video games and how they first started off. Things like how even World War II games progressed from the 80s with Castle of Wolfenstein up through now we have Halo and Call of Duty, and how those games are a continuation of this. So if you're really interested in the development of video games, this is a cool book for that. He also started complaining about Nintendo games, which I super love and obsess about. I love Super Mario, and that was my childhood, was playing Super Mario and the Nintendo games. And he talks about how they're simple games, and you're just doing the same action repetitively, and that just got super, that turned me off to this book also, was him just attacking my favorite games. What is wrong with you? So that part really made me super angry too, was him attacking my favorite video games and saying that they were less than whatever he wanted to play. Kind of comes off as just a total video game snob. So I didn't like that part of this book either. He talks about a lot of different video games, and some of them I didn't know existed. There's a game called Pirates, where you play as a pirate, and it's a lot about traveling and shipping. And it's a lot about kind of commerce and stuff. So you start off by stealing something, and then you go to sell it, and you could buy something from the place you sold it and sell it somewhere else for more and try to just make more money, which is a cool game. I didn't even know that existed. I really did like his writing style and the way he describes things. He has a way with words and descriptions, describing what it felt to play these games or what they looked like, or going out into the outside world, and all of a sudden he's paying attention to the sky because they've now introduced this element of like backgrounds and skies into video games, and now he's noticing like the outside world more. And the way he describes things is really cool, so I liked the writing style in this book. That part I really did enjoy. He tries to defend his lifestyle and how video games weren't taking over his life and ruining it, and his mom was crazy for thinking that that was going to happen, except for that's kind of exactly what happened. So his mom was kind of right, and I kind of am siding with his mom that he should not have been playing these games, playing so much of them, and playing them as young as he did, because apparently that really messed him up as a child and stopped him from doing things like sports and playing with other children. Um, yeah. And in the end of the book, he's complaining about how he doesn't have any friends. I'm like, well, all you want to do is talk about video games, and you don't care about what anybody else cares about. Like, no wonder you don't have friends, kid. Um, so I just got super frustrated with this book. I feel like if you were a really big game nerd, you would enjoy this book. If you are not a really big game nerd, not so much. Yeah, I thought I would try something different reading this book, and I just didn't like it. So there is my review for Gamelife by Michael W Clune. Check it out if you want to. This is definitely not a book I'm going to be reading. Yeah. Peace out. I love you guys, and keep reading. Bye.